All right. I wanted to have a little more unstructured spiritual chit chat with you ladies. I love making the teaching content, educational content for you all, as well as, I think for my own sake as well. Just being in the creative process, I just want to honor the fact that, yeah, it's not always about kind of keeping to a mold and having to create in a very particular way. I think for me, I've realized that sometimes I need to break free of that to really get the creative juices flowing for me. So what's really lighting me up today is the idea of just sitting down with you all, having a heart-to-heart about the role of spirituality in getting to know yourself. And I'll be sharing a lot of my personal experiences. I would love to hear if you resonate with some of these, and anything else that you might want to share down in the comments below. Yeah, I think maybe you'll see yourself in some of these topics and examples that we're going to talk about. I got the inspiration to speak on this because I feel like of all of the tools and methods, approaches for connecting with my authentic self, honestly, it's all very connected together and layered and related, but I would say that what has driven all of this self-understanding, self-exploration to the level that I've gotten to now, as well as still presenting me opportunities every single day to get to know myself deeper and deeper, I would have to attribute that to spirituality and this concept that there is more underneath the surface and there is deeper meaning and deeper purpose in our experiences. I see and believe that the events in our external realities are reflections of our internal world. And while it took me a while to kind of understand what that meant in the beginning days of my spiritual journey, but I have really come to believe that this is true and have experienced it firsthand in so many different ways. And in every facet of my life is a different set of mirrors to show me different aspects of myself, to show me different paths of growth and opportunity, to kind of connect me with ideas, insights, and understandings that I might otherwise not have gained had I not seen these experiences as mirrors for my internal self. So obviously one of the biggest ones for me has been learning to connect to my body. I would say it's been a very spiritually grounding and embodied process because the body is the vessel that connects the spiritual and the physical worlds. And so it is really our bodies are so incredible, and after studying it for all these years and just doing so much work with the body through, being a body worker, healing my own chronic pain and having this life-changing experience where I realized that my body was reflecting to me the misalignments that were unfolding in my external life with a level of precision that was scary. And when I really broke down and decoded what my body was saying, I was able to take that as guidance, exact steps of what I needed to do in order to move further on my path, to get out of a rut, move out of a rock bottom, and to call in the experiences that I knew deep down I was meant to be having, but just currently wasn't my reality. And this has happened to me many times over my life and through my spiritual journey, and I'm sure this is not the end of that. I think it's going to happen probably a lot more times and offer me different layers of insight and understanding. So yeah, I think looking at the body in a spiritual way, I think that there are many different schools of thought around the role of the body in terms of, spirituality is one thing, but also through religion and sort of this division between matter and God or divine or divine mind, whatever you want to call it. We won't get into that discussion because that is also a wormhole, and one that I'm still honestly working out for myself, what that all means to me. This all started like 4 years ago when, for me, like my spirituality crossed paths with my physical world, my physical in-body experience. And when I was able to use the cues and the sensations, the pain in my body to lead me towards a more aligned path, the pain healed, my life straightened out, everything just like fell into my lap in that original period of time. And I've experienced that like over and over again as well. And like it's really transformed the way that I see our physical sensations. And there's always been a part of me, this ethereal part of me, who when I was in chiropractic school always sort of denied that what we experience in the body is only physical. Like there was this inherent part of me that always believed that there was more. And that's kind of why I got led down the path of exploring the emotional realms, the mental realms, and then eventually the energetic and spiritual realms. So there's definitely more for me to learn as well, but through what I've been able to experience, to learn, to understand over the past couple of years, it's gotten to a point where it's very clear to me that we are able to shift our physical experiences of reality through connecting to ourselves and through our bodies, because they are a point of connection that we can rely on, because we're always going to have a body while we're in this physical lifetime. Our bodies serve as this access point where we can always bring in spirituality, bring in understanding, meaning, purpose, and all of those spiritual virtues of like hope, faith, trust, just like goodness into our lived experience, and not just as a principle, but actually to change on a cellular level what our experience of our reality is. And I think that my example with myself and my clients also healing through physical chronic pain is a really good example of that, because here we were existing in a reality where pain was the norm. Pain was the dominant sort of paradigm that we existed in, and it just became a part of our day-to-day. And through these deep layers of spiritual work, we were able to uncover the emotional, the mental, the energetic layers that are all connected into our physical experience, so that we could shift that. And rather than experience pain, we can connect to our true essence, which is ease and peace and painlessness, and orient to that reality. And in an abbreviated way, I guess you could say that is what is happening when people, at least through like the work that I've been doing and have experienced, like when we're able to shift our physical experiences and realities like that, we're literally recreating our experience of ourselves, because we are aligning with a more truthful version of who we are. We are connecting with a deeper, more authentic version of ourselves, which is interesting, right? Because I think so many of us who are spiritually inclined have also been very curious about the nature of our true selves. And for me especially, I've been always, since I was a young girl, pretty much obsessed with getting to know myself and my authentic self, because I felt like I didn't know who I was, and I didn't have the tools, I didn't have resources or support to be able to figure that out. I was just kind of like navigating in this big wide world alone. I lived most of my life up until these last 4 to 5 years where I was disconnected from my body, and I was missing out on so much wisdom. And yet at the same time, I don't at all fault myself or blame myself for that, because I know that my process is perfect, and that at the exact right moment is when I discovered that my body was speaking to me and trying to reel me back in, trying to bring me back home to connect to myself and my truth. And so that's been like a huge part of my spiritual journey. But I should also go a little bit further back, because I think what really opened the door for me to be able to see that there are all of these connections that are happening within the body, connected to our emotions and our thoughts and our beliefs and our energy, is that when I first started my spiritual journey, I was so fascinated by the concept of synchronicity and pattern recognition. Like, this is something that I've always been into and excited about, and I was just so curious about it. And it's just something so magical about seeing synchronicity unfolding in your life, and just that jaw-dropping, awe-filled moments of like, did anybody else see that? Or like, maybe nobody else gets it, you know, but you have that personal moment of like divine recognition. And it just is so incredible. Like, I've had some wild synchronicities that have popped up in my life, and it's just to the point where it's like, this cannot be by accident. I don't think I believe accidents anymore. The more that I deepen into my spiritual journey and process, the more I'm like, I think that someone is creating our experiences, and that someone's probably you. Even if we don't consciously know why or like how, I think it's like those magic moments, like realizing that there is so much going underneath the surface that we don't really get to see the inner workings of, but we get to see the little breadcrumbs from the universe and the signs that things are happening. I just think that they're so special. So because of the synchronicity, it's given me a new way to look at the world. It's made me a lot more excited and inspired to lean more into life and open myself more to what's being offered to me. I think, like, for me too, that another reason why I'm so grateful for the spiritual path is because the way that I was brought up, I was completely disconnected from really like anything outside of myself or outside of my family unit. There wasn't really a sense of community. I didn't grow up with a sense of reverence for spiritual authority, and it was challenging. When I was young, I remember feeling, I couldn't put words to it when I was that age, but there was definitely this deep feeling of disconnection, this feeling of isolation, this feeling of fear, separation, literally separation from the world around me. And it caused me to be afraid of people. It caused me to be afraid of like life, basically. And because I was so energetically sensitive, it really caused me to close myself off in a lot of ways and close my heart down, because it's almost like I didn't know what was out there and I just didn't feel safe. And now, all these years later, I have the strongest connection to spirit, God, that I've ever had. I draw on this connection daily to be my primary source of healing and energy. And when I look back on that version of myself now, it's like so clear to me that I was just living a very disconnected life, a life that's disconnected from my original source, disconnected from people, disconnected from love, like disconnected from my heart, disconnected from my body, disconnected from like everything. And so that was definitely not a sustainable way to like live. And I'm super glad that, that I was shown a different way eventually, and that it's become such a core part of my life, because my spirituality, I would say, has given me so much peace and freedom, in the sense of learning how to trust, learning how to surrender control has been such a process. I used to be such a type A perfectionist, like had to just be overseeing everything so closely and needed everything to be perfect. Otherwise, I would freak out internally and sometimes externally. And now I'm just the complete opposite. I don't even recognize that version of myself. I'm so in the flow now that sometimes I'm too fluid and like need more structure and containment. I feel like spirituality has given me the keys to feel safe. It's filled me with a deeper sense of knowing and trust and faith and understanding, as well as purpose. And these are the things that can transcend the fears that I experience as I'm moving through life. And I still experience fear, absolutely. I think that is a very human experience. And at the same time, I also feel like I've had very direct experiences of divine love completely just eliminating all sensations of fear. I've had so many moments, like when I go into my inner temple and I'm in my meditation, which is these days not really a meditation, it's more of a somatic parts work, divine union with source or God, and just drawing on divine energy to give me the sense of wholeness, security, stability that I might not be experiencing in my outer world. And this is what has helped me so much in difficult times and in times of like pain, struggle, discomfort, uncertainty, to just really be like, it's okay. I'm okay, because I can create the feeling of okayness in my body by bringing those energies of love and basically anything else that I could need into my field. It's really kept me going and has enabled me to do and accomplish so much that I didn't think was possible for me, and also would never have expected for me. Like what I'm doing now with my work and creating courses to teach the exact things that have helped free me in every aspect of my life. I never thought I was going to be doing this. Never thought I'd have a YouTube channel. And I just, like I think I've devoted myself and handed myself over to God, and not knowing exactly like where I'm being taken, but just knowing that wherever it is, like it's going to be great. I deeply trust in my cells that I am okay and I will be okay. And I'm just so grateful to be able to say that. And it took a lot of work to get here. I'm not gonna lie, like all of the inner work, all of the tools, the support, the resources, like I have leaned on so many things in my life and people to get to this place. And so I just want to honor and send some energetic gratitude to everyone and all of you who are watching. Like you are part of my process and my journey, and you're enabling me to do this, to be on my path. And you're like just watching this video, liking, commenting, purchasing my courses, you're supporting me on this evolution of my journey. So I'm so grateful from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. If you've been with me since my chiropractor days, or if you're just joining me now, I welcome you and I honor you. So thank you so much. Yeah, it's just reflecting on how my spiritual journey has always brought me back to my body, not away from it. And I think it's because actually there were like a number of times in my career where I tried to pivot away from doing any type of things related to the body. Like I was in such strong denial about the physical realm. I didn't want anything to do with the body anymore. But I just kept getting pulled back into the body, like almost, and I would hear sometimes messages of like, you can't leave your body behind, like you gotta bring it with you. And of course it makes sense now, because everything that I do is based in embodiment work. Everything that I teach, everything that I've personally healed and accomplished has been a result of embodiment work and really mastering that and bringing my body with me, instead of only doing the spiritual or energetic work, only doing the emotional or mindset work. It's like, no, it's all of it. It's that and the physical. And I think like maybe you can relate if you're also on the spiritual path for a while, that in the beginning the denial of the physical can be so real and so strong. You're just like, no, I worked so hard to get out of that matrix. I am not gonna acknowledge it anymore. And you kind of just like you just don't want to have anything to do with it. So I definitely existed in that state for a while, but I think like ultimately I definitely balanced myself out. I spent a lot of time like up here. And also it makes sense because in the past when I was younger, my coping mechanism was dissociation. So I was always like up in my head, in my third eye, like escaping into fantasies and dreaming a lot and just very like ungrounded. So for me, my path has always been to come back to my body. Back to my body. As much as I want to like not do that, it has always served me and has always even like advanced me on my spiritual path when I have allowed my body to support me in that. And so yeah, I just wanted to say that in case anyone else is experiencing the same thing. Yeah, I guess I just wanted to say that there's so many different ways to get to know yourself, especially in a spiritual way. And I just never would have guessed that for me, it would have been like literally through in such a physical way that I would not have at all expected that. But it has, I can't tell you like how many times I've processed something through my body and then very important insights, ideas, concepts, understandings will drop in. Like they're like right there after I'm done moving through my body. And yeah, and I guess ultimately maybe the message is just like to be present is to be in your body. And I didn't really know until I started doing somatic work 2 years ago. I thought I was like in my body, but I didn't realize just how dissociated I was until after the fact. I was like looking back in retrospect, I was like, oh, I can feel a huge difference in the way that I show up. Honestly, in the way that I show up in my life. I think that's been the biggest difference. Let me know if this is true for you as well. But like for me, I've always had a lot of internal power, I guess you could say, like internal ability to process things, to digest, and to create shifts internally. And externally, things would just be, I don't know, just kind of chaotic, better word. Like for a long time, it was like that until recently. But like a huge shift that happened for me was that once I started doing somatic work, like the way that I was behaving, the way that I was like literally moving, carrying myself, and also like just making moves in my external world was completely different. I was like moving with a level of ease and freedom and just naturalness that it's like you're no longer even thinking about what you need to be doing or should be doing. It's just happening. And it's like that follow through I was able to access so second nature because I started grounding into my body and really connecting to it. I've like spent a good amount of time reflecting on like why that might be the case, why being connected to the body did have these effects on me and my life and on so many others as well who do this kind of work. And I think it can be explained in like through a lot of different lenses. And the one that's coming to me right now is if you want to talk strictly in the somatic work world and using that language with the nervous system and all that, it's like there are, I would call them like unintegrated experiences, maybe traumas if you want to call it that, that get stored in the body's matrix. And these body memories are creating projections or like resistance to our natural empowered way of being. Like if these did not exist, your true self, your like soul connected self, your authentic self would shine through. That's just how it would be. But when we hold all of these different distortions in our tissues and in our energy field, it really dramatically changes the way that we, first of all, see ourselves, and then the way that we feel about ourselves and the world. And then also it changes how we feel on like a cellular level. And on top of that, in the nervous system, like so many people these days are operating in a state of functional freeze, which means that part of their systems are frozen because of past unintegrated traumas or experiences, and yet they're still required to function day to day, and they don't have the time, resources, tools, whatever it might be, in order to be able to release that and process that. So they're just kind of in this state of like gas pedal and brakes at the same time, which is exhausting. If you've ever been in functional freeze, you would know what I'm talking about. I've definitely been there. And what I've noticed for myself is that when I'm in connection with my body and I move through the world, through my life, on my path, connected to my body, it's literally like I'm unfreezing myself. I'm thawing from the parts, like the places in my body that are frozen in past versions of behavior and past patterning in past perceptions that are no longer aligning with who I'm becoming or where I'm going. So as we break out of these frozen kind of limitations, we free our energy to be able to move and expand and grow with us instead of just, like locked in a state of frozenness that's not useful to us, or at least to like where we're trying to go. So I think I'm just gonna kind of just cap it here because the video is getting quite long, but this has been so fun to chat with you about spirituality. I love this stuff. So if you want more videos like this, also let me know in the comments below. I have a bunch of resources for you if you are wanting to further your spiritual journey by connecting to your body, if that feels like resonant for where you are in your path and for this time in your process, then I would recommend my Listening to Your Body course. This is where I teach you 4 different ways to listen to the cues in your body so that you can know exactly what they're telling you. And so that's for the actual like how-to of how to listen to what's going on in your body. If you're looking for a more integrated, holistic, like comprehensive approach, then I have my 4-week embodied worth course, and that is including all of my somatic practices, secure attachment skills, intuitive movement, listening to your body, somatic parts work, all of the major tools, and also drawing on some divine intelligence that's already encoded in your body. So this course contains guided practices that are super helpful whether you are just laying the foundations for really embodied self-worth, or if you're already at like the finishing stages of completing a transformation, you just need that final push from the internal work that you've been doing for years and having that fully translate and land into your external reality. So these embodiment practices are really going to help like round out all of those aspects that are really important in terms of really getting to that place of wholeness within yourself, which is like where literally all transformation and healing, security, stability, any feeling that you want to create for yourself, the state of wholeness is where it comes from. So I'll leave the links for those resources in the description box below. So this has been really fun, and thanks for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.